Something big seems to be happening within the sacred walls of the Vatican. Today, Pope Leo XIV met behind closed doors with Cardinal Leo Burke, a very important figure in traditional Catholicism worldwide. What's the real meaning of this meeting? Is it just regular Vatican talks, or are we seeing the first signs of real change? This is a question that makes you think, especially for those who follow closely what's happening in the Holy See. Stay with us, because what was revealed by this exchange could be much more important than you might think. Inside the quiet walls of the Apostolic Palace, a direct conversation took place today. This conversation is set to have much deeper effects than official messages let on. Pope Leo XIV had a private talk with Cardinal Leo Burke, a very important and sometimes talked about figure from the more traditional side of the Catholic Church. The press release, written with the usual secrecy of the Vatican press office, says nothing about what they talked about. But this lack of details only makes us wonder more and want to know more. You see, this wasn't just a regular official meeting. When two very important people in the church meet away from prying eyes, every move, every quiet moment, and even what isn't said, becomes very important. The official secrecy only makes the symbolic meaning of what happened even bigger. Anyone who has been following what's happening between the Vatican and traditional groups can feel a clear tension in this meeting. On one side, there's a pope who has chosen a direct way of leading, focusing on Jesus. On the other hand, we have a cardinal who has always seen the Latin liturgy as the very heart of the Church's identity and tradition. No specific details have come out about what they talked about, but the simple fact that these two men met suggests possible developments that seemed impossible until recently. Today's meeting wasn't just a random thing. It's actually the result of a bunch of clues that, over the past few months, have set the stage for this very moment. Last June, Cardinal Burke made a public appeal to Pope Leo XIV, asking him to bring back the full right and freedom to celebrate the traditional Roman liturgy. Many faithful still believe this is the beating heart of their Catholic identity. His statements weren't just his own thoughts, but a heartfelt plea to end what he called a persecution, which he said had pushed the old right to the edges of church life. Just a few weeks later, in July, something happened that left many people watching speechless. The Pope himself wrote to the Cardinal, sending him a letter to say congratulations on his 50th anniversary of becoming a priest. In the message, Pope Leo XIV didn't use the usual formal words. Instead, he chose to genuinely show how much he valued Burke's hard work and care in serving the Church and protecting Church law. He also said that Burke had helped support the offices of the Roman Curia. This action, if you look closely, hinted at the start of a new, calmer time after years of disagreements and misunderstandings with the previous pope. But what really stands out isn't just the event itself, but the silence around it. No detailed statements, no official notes, no mention of what was talked about. This silence doesn't seem like an accident, and because of that, it leads to all sorts of guesses and different ideas. In the Vatican, every action and word is chosen very carefully, and often what isn't said can have just as big an impact, if not bigger, than a public statement. For some, the silence suggests that private talks are happening, delicate situations that can't be shared with the public yet. For others, the silence is a choice to let the event speak for itself, without needing to add more words. Anyway, the message reaching the Catholic community is clear and can't be misunderstood. The issues about traditional worship and Cardinal Burke's role are still very important and haven't been figured out yet, and because there are no official explanations, the whole thing is a mystery that keeps both reporters and believers on the edge of their seats. The results of this meeting could be many, and all of them would have a big impact. Many are wondering if Pope Leo XIV is thinking about changing the document called Traditionis Custodes. Maybe he wants to make the rules less strict, or even get rid of them completely. A change this big would be a huge deal. It would open the doors again for the Tridentine Mass to be celebrated and give hope back to those who have felt left out in recent years. Another possibility, not as big but still very important, is that the Pope wants to start a slow process of making up. This would be a path with specific openings and a new focus on old traditions. With this in mind, the meeting with Burke might just be the first step in a bigger plan. A plan that aims to heal a deep and hurtful split. Also, we can't rule out that the Cardinal, because he's known all over the world, might become a steady and recognized leader. When dealing with church matters, turning a disagreement into a chance to work together like never before. But right now, Pope Leo XIV hasn't said he wants to get rid of the rules about the traditional Mass. Even though there have been friendly gestures towards Cardinal Burke, things haven't really changed. The document called Traditionis Custodes is still fully in effect. And getting permission still depends on what the bishops decide. In some places, the rules have even gotten stricter. This is a reality that people who love the old Mass face every day. And it's even harder to understand when there are signs that things might open up. This strange situation where the Pope makes friendly gestures but doesn't change the rules that limit the old Mass at all is key to understanding today's meeting. Maybe this is the start of a real conversation, or maybe it's just a symbolic gesture. The puzzle remains, and it's probably here that the future of bringing Rome and the traditionalists closer will be decided. Even though the situation is still full of unknowns and contradictions, we can't ignore that figures like Cardinal Burke and Cardinal Müller are still important guides for many faithful people who don't want to give up on the idea of a change in how church services are done. Their witness, which is sometimes uncomfortable, remains a strong presence that reminds us that the church isn't just about papers and rules, but also about leaders who are brave enough to defend what they believe is essential for the Catholic faith. In a time when many feel lost, their example keeps a spark of hope alive. This isn't just a naive dream. It's a strong belief that truth can't be erased with just a signature, and that tradition isn't just an old museum piece. It's a living treasure to protect and pass down, like a family recipe that gets better with each new generation. That's why, even when official decisions seem to go the other way, the voices of people like Burke and Müller remind the faithful that the fight for the traditional Mass and for clear teachings is still going on. It's like a game. The final whistle hasn't blown yet. Maybe they're a small group, but they're definitely not quiet. So, what do you think? If this story touched you, leave an amen in the comments. May God always be with you.